This is Karen M Stewart. She's an ex-NSA analyst, and she talks eloquently about the fusion centres that exist in the US, and there's many of them, and also in Europe and in the UK, for which you pay for, which are used to target people like myself at great cost. And we are trafficked in our communities with the help of the neighbours who get paid handsomely to get involved with this, and the police know all about it. Just have a listen to this.
Into human trafficking, and they get, and I'm going to call it contracts on people, because NSA basically went to them and said, hey, we have a problem. This woman is suing us. Maybe they admitted it or not. We stole her work and awarded it to a woman who was sleeping her way through the weapons and space management. Maybe they admit it. I don't know. Or maybe they had an entirely different story, but they put out a contract on me and they said, okay, this was to the Florida people. And so they went through the neighborhood. I was staying with my parents, actually, because they were in their 80s and needed some help. And I was waiting for my EEOC case to come up. So they went through the neighborhood defaming me, surprise to me. And I ended up getting stalked and harassed. And I think Bill Binney calls it cast iron coverage, which means if you leave your home, somebody is watching and beeps their horn or warning like she's leaving or she's coming or whatever. And then you have 2, 3, 4, 5 cars kind of pile on and follow you everywhere you go, sometimes just making their presence clear, sometimes impeding where you're going, other times causing car accidents. So this is not surveillance. This is minute-by-minute harassment, and what they want to do is take this troublesome, inconvenient person and blame them with some kind of crime, put them, like you said, in a loony bin by saying, you're crazy, nobody would do this. Well, they've had this going for 20 years. They've had this program going for 20 years, and they have not only trained the FBI and fusion center operatives to do these types of idiocies, but they train and pay through gift cards, third-card gift cards, neighbors, townspeople. They even enlist the help of certain crime gangs, because the crime gangs will do certain things that a civilian will say, no, I really don't think I want to kill her dog, So they go through different groups in a town. They tell them different lies to get them enraged, and then they put them on a schedule and say, okay, well, your church can stalk and harass her for the next 6 weeks, and then we'll move on to the PTA. So they have civilians highly invested because they want to believe this particular person is a terrible person, or else why would they be doing this to them? But it doesn't occur to them, this has no due process, and the person has no chance to prove themselves innocent. But they're invested in the money. And I think a little voice tells them if this isn't legitimate, they're in big trouble. So they better believe it's legitimate and the government can actually do this to people. So they're doing this all over the country. I mean, if you move from Iowa to Michigan, you're going to get car stalked. And once you get to Michigan, they're going to go through the neighborhood and get them to do the same things to you. If you pick up and move to Texas, they're going to do the same things. I mean, it is a highly professional network of harassers. And there are people who are actually making their living doing this. And I was shocked when I saw a video from another targeted individual, which is what we end up calling ourselves, because I believe they start calling us that first. So TI, or targeted individual. But he filmed some guy following him around a grocery store, and he said, by the way, how much do you get? And I was rather shocked in that it was a lot of money, a lot for a no-skill job of criminal harassment. So there are people who are totally invested, and they do go to the authorities, and the authorities either tell you, oh, you're crazy, or they say, sorry, we can't help you. In fact, I went to a sheriff's department in Florida, and I told the duty officer what was going on. I said, I've called. I've tried to explain. I've sent you explanations via email, and I get basically ignored or insulted. This is going on, and I am getting health damage. A lot of us do. vision destruction, basically bleeding in the brain, heart drying out from being cooked, all kinds of things that are very, very unique health problems that you would not or could not possibly get without being exposed to electromagnetic weapons continuously. You just wouldn't get these problems. But I went to this duty officer, told him, and he said, "What is your name again?" And he said, "Come on, follow me to the parking lot." And he went to looked like a private car, maybe his own personal sedan, and he opened the trunk and he took out a handful of folders. And he said, "There you are." He said, and he opened it up and read a little bit, and he said, "I'm not allowed to help you." Meaning, you don't have any civil or constitutional rights. I'm not allowed to help you or take a report. Sorry, bye. Yeah. What you're seeing right now is where I worked. It was the NSA Weapons and Space Directorate, and that was the project that I was on. It was to detect jammers that the Russians were actually selling the Iraqis to make our weapon.
And that was one of our most credible witnesses describing the organised stalking programme, for which is highly lucrative. And I swear that a lot of the UK GDP must be comprised of organised stalking. It pays out well. It pays out well. People are making millions out of this. Apparently there's quite a pyramid scheme of very wealthy elites who hide their money offshore, down to the person on the street who'll follow me around. He'll get enough to make a living out of this, and the police are fully complicit. They also get money. They are paid to have a section in the UK for speaking out, paid to have us called crazy, anything you can think of, and we get no help. And by the way, I'm losing my eyesight exactly as Karen Milton Stewart says, through the use of pulse-modulated frequency devices and lasers as well too. There's all sorts of things that are in use. And if you don't believe me, this will all appear in time. As yet, it is very, very well hidden. It is very well hidden, but you're paying for it.